There are characters who wake up ready to face the day, and then there's Mordecai, who wakes up like someone pressed restart on his personal tragedy simulator. From the outside, he looks fine, just a tall, blue, semi-responsible bird trying to exist. But look closer, and you'll notice the truth. Mordecai doesn't live, he endures. Every morning is less rise and shine and more respawn and cope. His life is a never-ending highlight reel of emotional damage mixed with cosmic punishment, wrapped in the flimsiest hopes a 23-year-old man-child can muster. And that's why we're here today. Not to celebrate him, not to comfort him, but to study, with scientific detachment and a sprinkle of cruelty, why it absolutely sucks to be Mordecai. Because somewhere between the heartbreaks, the embarrassing decisions, and the universe literally trying to kill him whenever he catches feelings, Mordecai became something bigger than a regular show character. He became a symbol, the patron saint of people who are trying their best in a world that keeps asking for just a little more pain. So, buckle up. We're diving into the emotional abyss of a blue bird who never knew peace, and somehow made it funny. Before we dig into the heartbreaks, emotional collapses, and cosmic bullying Mordecai endures, we need to understand why he's the chosen vessel of pain in the first place. Because in regular show, everyone suffers, but only Mordecai suffers with meaning. Rigby, he glides through life like a raccoon-shaped disaster with zero accountability. Nothing sticks to him. He causes chaos and walks away whistling. Muscle Man, he creates problems and considers them hobbies. Even Benson, the literal gumball dispenser with rage issues, screams his way into catharsis. But Mordecai? No. Mordecai is cursed with something far worse than chaos, emotional awareness. He feels everything. He overthinks everything. He's that one friend who says, "I'm fine," with a cracking voice and hopes no one notices. And the universe does notice, then immediately decides to make it worse. While the others treat life like a weird Saturday morning fever dream no one asked him to star in, Mordecai treats it like a dramatic indie film no one asked him to star in. He carries the weight of every awkward moment, every mistake, every "maybe she likes me," every "maybe she doesn't," every regret stacked like unpaid emotional rent. And that's the tragedy. Mordecai was built to suffer because he's the only one who actually cares. In a world where nothing matters, he insists on caring anyway. And that, tragically, hilariously, is the exact reason his life is a never-ending spiral of "why me?" If there's one thing Mordecai should have never been allowed to experience, it's romance. Not because he doesn't deserve love, but because love, for him, functions like a glitchy emotional landmine that resets every time he dares to feel hope. Let's start with Margaret, the original heartbreak, the red bird who could have been the one if she didn't leave, return, leave again, confuse her feelings, and accidentally turn Mordecai's emotional stability into a seasonal allergy. Every time she smiled, he fell deeper into the void. Every time she walked away, he fell even deeper. She didn't break his heart once, she broke it in installments. Then comes CJ, the literal storm cloud who represents the rebound phase that accidentally becomes a relationship. She arrives with lightning, mood swings, and enough jealousy issues to make even the universe nervous. But to be fair, Mordecai did cause half of those problems by being, well, Mordecai. The guy can ruin a moment simply by existing near someone he likes. And the universe watches all this like a bored director thinking, what if emotional pain was physical? Let's make heartbreak cause a reality-breaking chain reaction. Because with Mordecai, love doesn't just sting, it detonates. When he catches feelings, dimensions collapse. When he gets rejected, time distorts. When he tries to move on, fate laughs and hands him a new disaster wrapped in emotional confusion. Margaret and CJ aren't two romantic arcs. They're two sides of the same cosmic joke. Mordecai is destined to feel just enough happiness to remember what he'll never have. He's not in a love triangle, he's in a love blender, and somehow he keeps pressing smoothie. Here's the thing about Mordecai. He isn't irresponsible, he's selectively responsible. He'll forget tasks, ignore deadlines, and procrastinate like it's an Olympic sport. But he will absolutely internalize every single thing that goes wrong within a 50-meter radius. In the park, nobody knows what they're doing. Rigby is chaos distilled into raccoon form. Muscle Man is a walking OSHA violation. Pops is a cosmic child with the decision-making skills of a warm marshmallow. But somehow, even in this circus of dysfunction, Mordecai still manages to feel like everything is his fault. Rigby slacks off. Mordecai feels guilty for enabling him. Benson screams. Mordecai wonders if he deserves it. A random interdimensional monster attacks because someone didn't mop the floor. Mordecai takes it personally. It's not that he's mature, it's that he thinks he should be, which is far worse. Because while everyone else treats the job like a joke, Mordecai treats it like a metaphor for adulthood. Confusing, stressful, underpaid, and emotionally draining for absolutely no reason. He wants to be responsible. He wants to make the right decisions. He wants to be the stable one. But the tragedy is, he's terrible at it. He tries to be the adult in the room, but every attempt crumbles into another layer of stress he'll carry for the rest of the season. He's the kind of guy who'll mess up a simple task, apologize too much, overthink it for weeks, and then still blame himself years later. And meanwhile, Rigby sleeps. That's the core of Mordecai's suffering. He feels everything, even when nothing is actually his problem. He's the emotional sponge of the universe, absorbing every drop of stress, guilt, regret, and awkwardness, while the rest of the cast walks away like it's just another Tuesday. In a world where nobody cares, Mordecai insists on caring, and that is exactly why he is falling apart. If life were a video game, Mordecai would be stuck on the tutorial level forever. Every time he reaches almost happiness, the universe hits him with a game over screen, complete with dramatic music and existential commentary. He almost gets the girl. Margaret smiles, he breathes, hope blooms, and then she's gone, off to college, off to someone else, off to whatever the plot demands. He almost succeeds at work, completes the task, avoids disaster, and then Rigby ruins everything anyway. He almost has a day without chaos, a weekend without emotional trauma, and some interdimensional threat appears because why not? Mordecai's life is a masterclass in just shy of victory. It's a universe specifically designed to teach him disappointment in increments. He doesn't fail spectacularly, he fails consistently, subtly, in ways that slowly chip away at his mental equilibrium. Every near win becomes a reminder happiness is temporary, stability is a joke, and the universe enjoys a cruel sense of timing. He's living proof that hope is both necessary and catastrophic. Humorously, it makes him the perfect tragic-comic protagonist. You can't feel sorry for him too long because the absurdity of his almosts is so painfully relatable. At the same time, every failure hits like a gut punch, a reminder that even in a world full of ridiculous creatures and magical disasters, one bird still feels the weight of existence. Mordecai isn't cursed with failure. He's cursed with proximity to success. It's the emotional equivalent of standing in a puddle while everyone else enjoys sunshine. Always close, never enough, never safe. The universe doesn't need to crush him outright, it just needs to let him taste what he can't have. And Mordecai, tragically loyal to the idea of trying, keeps reaching for it. Over and over. Almost. Always. Almost. Beyond love, beyond near success, beyond Rigby's endless incompetence, there's something even heavier Mordecai carries: himself. He's the one who remembers, the one who overthinks, the one who agonizes over every choice, like a tiny blue philosopher trapped in a universe that refuses to make sense. While the others live in absurdity without consequence, Mordecai internalizes it. A mistake isn't a funny plot device, it's a personal indictment. A missed opportunity isn't a minor setback, it's evidence of his own inadequacy. Even mundane events, a spilled drink, a forgotten text, a sarcastic remark, echo in his mind for days like a drumline of regret. He's haunted not by monsters alone, but by the accumulation of small, perfectly human failures. Every joke he didn't make, every moment he hesitated, every chance to act that he wasted. Rigby moves on. Muscle Man moves on. Mordecai, he replays it over and over until every minor catastrophe feels like a personal apocalypse. And here's the cruelest twist. Mordecai is aware that life is absurd, and that knowledge makes the pain sharper. He isn't oblivious. He sees the randomness, the chaos, the unfairness, and he experiences it all fully. The universe isn't even trying to punish him. It's just letting him feel everything in technicolor detail while everyone else shrugs and carries on. Humor in his suffering comes from this contrast. You laugh because the situation is ridiculous. You feel for him because it's too real. And somewhere in the middle, you realize Mordecai is exactly like most of us, a little unprepared, a little overwhelmed, and somehow still moving forward, even when the world doesn't care if he makes it. So yes, the park is absurd. The monsters are absurd. Rigby's antics are absurd. But the real absurdity? Mordecai is emotionally overqualified for a world that doesn't appreciate feeling. And that is the secret ingredient in his tragic comedy. In regular show, nothing is ordinary, and that includes Mordecai's suffering. Every emotional setback, every heartbreak, every moment of awkwardness doesn't just exist as a feeling, it manifests. Literally, the world bends, distorts, and occasionally explodes around him because Mordecai's inner turmoil refuses to stay internal. Miss a deadline? Reality glitches. Get rejected by Margaret or CJ? Time slows, space warps, minor catastrophes become interdimensional incidents. Spill coffee? A small tsunami forms, probably powered by the collective judgment of every bluebird who came before him. These absurd manifestations are more than cartoon logic. They're a metaphor for the weight of living with heightened sensitivity. Mordecai isn't just unlucky, he's the universe's emotional canvas, painted with the chaos of his own overthinking and the chaos of everything else. Every strange creature, every ridiculous event, every improbable disaster is a reflection of the stress, guilt, and existential dread he carries everywhere. The humor in this is sharp and dry. Watching Mordecai navigate a world that turns emotional pain into literal obstacles is tragic, but also hilarious, because you can see the logic.
If someone feels as much as he does, surely reality itself would have to bend in protest. It's the perfect storm of surrealism and empathy. You laugh at the absurdity of a sentient storm cloud chasing him, or a vending machine screaming at him for missing a deadline. You wince at the painfully relatable anxiety that fueled the entire scene. And you realize the cruel genius of Mordecai's existence. The more he feels, the stranger the world becomes. So when Mordecai trips over another metaphor made real, we don't just watch a cartoon fail. We witness the embodiment of suffering rendered comically vivid. And we can't look away, because in some tiny, sad way, we recognize ourselves in every absurd emotional explosion. So what have we learned from Mordecai's endless parade of disasters, heartbreaks, and cosmic inconveniences? That life, at its core, is absurd. That love is cruel. That responsibility is heavy and often thankless. And that one blue bird somehow feels it all with devastating clarity. Mordecai isn't just unlucky. He's the embodiment of emotional overqualification in a world that refuses to acknowledge feelings. Every minor setback becomes a mini-apocalypse. Every near success becomes a lesson in disappointment. Every awkward moment turns into a surreal spectacle. And yet, he keeps going. He keeps trying. He keeps hoping. That's why we laugh. Because the absurdity is so exaggerated, it's funny. Because his pain is relatable in the most uncomfortable, hilarious way. Because watching someone survive heartbreak, cosmic threats, and Rigby's incompetence and somehow remain painfully earnest is darkly satisfying. Mordecai's life is a tragic comedy, a masterclass in almost success, almost love, almost happiness. And it's mesmerizing because underneath the blue feathers, the sarcastic quips, and the disastrous decisions, there's a truth we all recognize. Sometimes, surviving is the only victory you get. So next time you see Mordecai tripping over a metaphor, crying over a girl, or arguing with a sentient vending machine, remember this. He's suffering, yes. He's miserable, yes. But somehow, tragically, comically, he's still alive. And we, for some inexplicable reason, can't stop laughing at it.